Did you see the clip of the American woman who was in the bar in the north of Ireland? Said she got into a conversation and she got a bit upset about it, and she was like warning other American tourists.
To a Northern Ireland bar and are immediately accused of being a bad person because you're from the United States.
She was quite vague in what the conversation was about, but I think I know what it was about because I went to her page and I found that she's sharing this type of content. She's also made videos like this. So no, American tourists do not need to be cautious when they're coming to Ireland. Fascist, MAGA, Trump supporters need to be cautious because you're not welcome when you come to Ireland. So save your tears for someone else.
Story time of why I felt uncomfortable and unwelcomed in the north of Ireland. I walked in with my husband to the Central Bar, and I immediately noticed that they had the world news on, rightfully so. There's a lot of crazy things going on in this world, and sure, they want to watch it. I'm a visitor in your country. That is completely your prerogative. You can watch or do what you want. That's fine. I genuinely mean that. But when I walked in, there was a cute little fireplace, and so I asked the gentleman sitting there if that table was open. They then said, yeah, you can sit there. And so my husband and I sat down. The woman behind the bar was so kind. She was very nice, gave us our pints, what have you. Then the gentleman said, are you American? And I said, yes, we're American. And I'm not lying to you when I say it instantly went from, yes, I'm American, to, well, who'd you vote for? And I kind of was just shocked. I'm like, wow, that was very direct. And I said, we're on vacation. We're trying to get away from all of that. We don't really want to talk about it. And I did not know that automatically meant, oh, you're a MAGA crazy Nazi that blah, 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 blah. Like I've been reading in my comments. Had no idea. Now, the other thing people were upset about was the fact that I called it Northern Ireland. I will say this. I did Google. A lot of people are like, can't you just Google search it? I did Google search Cushendall. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying it wrong too. Sorry. And I read Northern Ireland. And so that's what I said. And again, was not trying to be offensive to anybody. Now, if you're wanting to know what I said that really set them off, I'll tell you. They said, so where are yous traveling from here? Fair question. I love bar talk. Yeah, I said, we started in Dublin. We went up to Giant's Causeway, and we just are kind of going to go all the way down until we hit Dublin again to go home. And he goes, oh, okay, so what brought you here? And I told him I have visited England and Wales and Scotland, and I've visited everywhere in the UK, and so coming up, here's the last spot so I can be able to say that I have been everywhere in the UK. That is the moment when it just went dead silent, and I was met with, you're in Ireland, this is not the UK, we're Irish. And I was like, oh, again, I apologize, very sorry, I did not want to upset or offend. And I even went so far as to let him, I'm like, I'm so sorry about that. And he goes, let me tell you something. And so he continued to tell me why, they are not British, they are not the UK, that they're Irish and how bad the British are. And they even showed me the plaque in the alley about the 1981 hunger strike. And I was very polite and keen to learn about something I don't know. I'm sorry if you find I'm uneducated. Maybe I don't know everything, but possibly that's why I'm there to learn. And I was thrown off guard. I wasn't expecting. People are like, what do you expect? I'm sorry. I guess I did not expect to just be candidly like, well, who'd you vote for? And so everything at that, we went back into the bar after they showed me the plaque of the 1981 hunger strike. And then my husband and I continued just our own drink conversation. And because the news was on and because people tend to drink in pubs, the longer we were there, the more drunk people were getting and the more upset they were getting and the more nasty the comments began to come. And although they may not have been directed directly to me or my husband, yeah, it just, in general, remove the politics. The whole bar atmosphere just felt very, very hateful. Just, I had a very low energy. I'm like, wow, it feels not good in here. It does not feel good in here. And to me, I was just thinking, I'm like, okay, I was in the wrong for saying Northern Ireland and that we were in the UK, and I got corrected. And I even went so far as to learn what they wanted to say, hear them out. And the one guy even told him, like, hey, they're on holiday. Let's not go there. And they just couldn't help themselves. That I tagged in my video, I'm sorry, I corrected it. Genuinely didn't know. I apologize. I now know very clearly that you guys are Irish, not a part of the UK. I have no beef with that. Not at all. I genuinely just wanted to go in, enjoy some pints, and if it was a friendly conversation, I will gladly go back and forth. But to bring up any sensitive topic, anything like that, I would have said the same thing. Like, I don't want to talk about that. It's uncomfortable, not because of like directly what's going on. Any sensitive topic, why would you want, especially while drinking, why would you want to talk about something so sensitive with complete strangers while you're a guest in their country? I honestly thought I was doing the polite thing. And I didn't say anything mean or nasty to them. I just simply asked my husband if we paid for our pints already, and he said, yes, we did. And I said, okay. I'm like, we need to go. Like, just the atmosphere just felt very negative and hateful. So dislike me if you will, call me every name in the book, that's fine. Some of those comments were absolutely diabolical and insane. I can't believe people will take time out of their day to write paragraphs of just hate from one person's video. You guys don't know who I am. It's just, you're generalizing, and that's really unfair and uncool. And I would like to say that if anybody came to my country, I would never, ever outright just be like demanding answers to sensitive topics. It's just, in my book, it's not polite. So yeah, I do want to just reiterate any apologies. The intention was not to upset or offend anybody. And for all of the people who have been so kind and sent me wonderful messages or left me a sweet comment, thank you. It meant all the world. And no, that one little bar experience did not tarnish what I saw and did, and the people I met were beautiful. I was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time around a lot of drunk people with the world going crazy right now. And so that's the story.
I was in Switzerland earlier this year, and I was in the French part of it, and I was at this tiny little like garden restaurant. It was beautiful, banging schnitzels, by the way. But oh my God, it was me and two other people. There was no conversation at the table because we were enthralled with the conversation of the American woman next to us. I'm not sure if she was with a sugar daddy or this was her first date, but she made it very clear what was going on with her ex-boyfriend and how like they used to do Xanax together, and like every time they fuck, she'd give like a part of her soul away. Like she was getting in depth, in detail, and it was like she had the microphone. Like the whole restaurant was just listening to her talk about her drug escapades and getting paid to like fly in and out of countries and who she fucked. It was really American.
You're not depressed, you just live in the US. I moved from the US to Europe and I plan on never going back. Living here has been so affordable and stress-free. I even had my baby here. It cost me about $1,300 to give birth here, and I got paid $400 by the state to have a baby here. It's just such a different culture here. Like, people aren't only centered by their work and their job. You get to actually enjoy life and do things on your own time. And I feel like right now is probably the best time to leave the US. And yes, that's everywhere in the world, but it's just so different when you live in a country other than the US. I moved to a tiny country in Europe for the past year, and I am 6 hours ahead of the US. So that means 3 p.m. here is 9 a.m. there. So I have until 3 p.m. every single day to do whatever I want to do. It's been incredible. So if you can, move out of the US and live in another country, because life is just so much simpler elsewhere. The food is better, the air is cleaner, the education is free, the healthcare is free, and you'll have a lot higher quality of life elsewhere other than the US.
My name is Clinton, and I really appreciate the support that you guys are giving out in this channel. Now today we are talking about how the Europe have actually viewed America and why the media has actually done that damage to the American side. Now, what if everything you have been told about the relationship between America and Europe is becoming outdated? Like, for generations, we were told that United States and Europe were part of the same Western family bond. Like, they were family. And they bond together by shared history, shared values, and a common vision for the future. So today, something is interesting is happening. As more Americans visit Europe and more Europe travel to the United States, they are discovering that this society are no longer simply different countries. They are increasingly operating under a very different philosophy. So the debates aren't just about politics anymore. They are about healthcare, public safety, individual responsibility, religion, economic opportunities, and let's say the ultimate what it means to live a good life in America. So I want you guys to watch the rest of the video here, and I will come back here and give much about this.
Part 7 of things that are normal in Europe that would send the average American into an absolute coma. There's only 2 types of people who are allowed to open carry firearms or guns in this entire country and the country next door. And for anybody new here, I live on the border of France and Switzerland, so I go in between both countries, and I'm talking about both countries because my husband works in Switzerland, we live in France, and we're constantly going back and forth. So there is literally no threat of gun violence anywhere that you go. You don't have to worry about your kids getting shot at school. You don't have to worry about leaving your house, going to the movies and getting shot there. You don't have to worry about guns at all. And all day long, Americans love to talk about how it's a Second Amendment right to open, conceal, and carry. But there's literally shootings every single day. So the problem really is the guns, because that just does not happen over here.
European things that would send an American into a coma.
Please.
Yeah. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah. I'm here.
Immigrant hate, right? Say that again? About going back to your country?
What
You wanna
does
say
that
that
have
again?
to do with anything? Also, it doesn't
Go back
say
where?
anything about anything you
We're all
went.
Canadians here.
Literally,
Fuck
born
yeah.
and raised.
Seriously.
She's got to take a picture.
No, we didn't take a picture. It's a video.
It's a video.
But yeah.
Yeah, you've heard about social media, right? Yeah, what about going back to my country? Can you say that again, please?
We're born and raised here.
Say it with your chest now.
Yeah.
Proud.
your chest.
Proud Canadian. Let's go back where,
Say it
sorry?
loud. Say it loud and proud.
Yeah, go back where? How many languages do you speak?
2.
I speak 3. Is it because it's hard to find or be challenged by immigrant, or what is it about my country that you want me to go back to? Like, can you say that again?
Next time you have a
Yeah.
problem.
You're so quiet now. Why are you so quiet now?
Go back where? I'm sorry. I just want you to say it again.
Yeah.
That's all.
To my country.
I'll
You're
go wait.
being racist, so say it. Say it. Yeah. Say it again. Be racist again.
Told you your mouth was going to get you into trouble one day.
And it did.
Because I told the kid to get
Oh,
his
it's a
shoes off
teenager.
the couch.
But why is that your problem?
13-year-old.
And then
Why is
told
that
us
your
to go back
problem?
to our country?
Come on. And
Yeah.
then she tells us to go back to our country.
Yeah.
How kind.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good Canadian spirit over here.
as you have seen from the videos, you realize that there is hatred. There is hatred amongst the two societies. And some Americans look at Europe and see too much government control. Some Europe also look at America and see too little social protection. Yet both sides genuinely believe they are defending freedom. So how did two regions with so much shared history begin viewing the world so different? And what can we learn by comparing these two very different models of society? So in today's videos, we are taking a closer look at the growing divide between the United States and Europe, not to declare a winner here, but to understand why these differences have become so pronounced, and why more travelers are returning home, questioning assumptions they have once took for granted. So let's dive in.
Things about the UK that would send Americans into a coma, part 1. The first thing would be these things. And if you don't know what they are tea time alarms. These things will go off at any random time in the day, and when they do, everyone has to stop and have tea. The king is in charge of doing this, and he has a big red button that he presses whenever he feels like it, and we all have to stop and have tea. So if you're driving, you have to stop the car, get out the car, and have a nice cup of tea. It's kind of like Be Real, but in real life. I think Americans would struggle with this cultural difference.
Yeah. And they were like, so you're with those guys? And you're like, no. And they're like, no. Like, you know how they do that thing when they try to, like, get us diversity? Like, everywhere we go, everyone stares at me. People, like I've been out to dinner with them.
Part 15 on things that are normal in Europe that would send Americans into an absolute coma. Everybody here thinks Donald Trump is a dumbass. Myself included, especially after what he just said about having immigrants come to America from shithole countries. Like, that's actually something the president said. It is so beyond embarrassing.
Why is trying to order coffee in Europe the hardest thing ever as an American? I was in London and Spain, and when I was in London, I was like, can I have a coffee with cream, no sugar? And the barista was not getting it. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. I was like, like a regular coffee just with cream. I went back and forth trying to figure it out. And she was like, a drip coffee. And I was like, yes, exactly, a drip coffee. And I step aside and I watch her make it, and she's doing everything right. Pouring myself a regular drip coffee. And I watch her try to put the cream on. And I was like, what the hell is she grabbing? This lady literally grabs a bottle of whipped cream. She starts to put whipped cream in my drink. I literally screamed, no. She was like, what, you said cream? And I was like, no, I meant milk. I'm so sorry, I'm American. Like, when you say cream, that means like milk, blah, blah, blah. We both started bursting out laughing. Anyway, that was one example. Then, when I'm flying back from Portugal, sitting in first class, and I asked the flight attendant, hey, may I have a coffee? She was like, yeah, sure. Do you want a shot of espresso, or do you want coffee in a bowl? I was like, I'm sorry, in a bowl. And she was like, yeah, you're American. You guys drink coffee in a bowl, right? And I was like, no, girl, no American I know drinks coffee in a bowl. I told her how to make a regular coffee with milk. I ended up getting it, and it was good. But like, those are just two examples of how difficult it is to like order coffee in Europe. But it was like pulling teeth every single time I said that I wanted a coffee in London, Spain, and Portugal. I had a very, very lovely time, but I'm so happy to be back in the States where I can get a big ass cup of iced coffee literally the size of my head.
They often discover societies that are far more secular, more supportive of government-funded healthcare, and generally more accepting of social welfare policies. So likewise, many Europeans visiting the United States are surprised by Americans' optimism, friendliness, entrepreneurial spirit, and the confidence. So while also expressing one's concern about issues such as healthcare, affordability, or let's say the gun violence. Travel as a way of challenging assumptions. You have to know, we have to be very sincere here. It is one thing to hear opinions through television, social media, or political commentators. It is also another thing entirely to experience another country firsthand. Like, people often return home realizing that reality is far more complicated than the stereotypes they grew up hearing. So another interesting part of this conversation is how each side interprets the other side's problem. You find that in American political debates, Europe policies are sometimes criticized as an example of excessive government control. And in Europe discussions, American policies are criticized as placing too much responsibility on individuals while not providing enough public support. No, both sides frequently highlight each other's weakness while overlooking their own, and that doesn't necessarily mean one system is objectively better than the other. And every country makes different choices based on its history, culture, economic, and let's say the political priorities. So the result is that the citizen experience different benefits and different challenges. So perhaps the biggest lesson is that international travel has become more than just sightseeing. It has become an opportunity to compare ideas. Visiting another country often forces people to ask difficult questions about their own society. Like, some return home with greater appreciation for what they have. Others come back believing certain things could be improved. So maybe that's why these conversations have become so popular online. And they are not really about proving one country is superior. They are about understanding why different societies arrive at different answers to the same problem. So in the end, the United States and Europe remain close allies with deep historical ties, but they are increasingly pursuing different visions of what creates the best quality of life. So that doesn't have to be viewed as a conflict. It can also be seen as an opportunity to learn from another. And after all, sometimes the clearest way to understand your own country is to see it through someone else's eye. So, what do you think? Is freedom primarily about having fewer government restrictions? Or is it also about having greater social securities? I also want you guys to share your thoughts in this video. And I also love to hear where you stand from, because this is something that has been happening in America for the longest time. And we are seeing it here, and the World Cup is also proving it wrong.